Hello everybody, Jardis here, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing a ranger build that I am thoroughly enjoying that revolves around using the Janthir Bee pet, which recently came out with the new Janthir Wilds expansion patch, which included the map, Mistburn Barrens. Now I'm currently at one of the spawning locations for the Janthir Bee pet, in case you're a ranger and you want to know where it can be found. It is south of the Alliance staging grounds down by this Mirsat Mirror area down on this platform. However, there are other locations in which the bee can spawn, such as right in this little nook right here, as well as over here, and a little spot up here. So at least 4 locations that I know of for sure the bee can spawn, although it can probably spawn in other locations. I don't have the exact locations memorized, but those are the 4 that I do know of. And this is this little guy. Now the ranger build that I'm going to be showcasing is meant for strictly fun. It is not a meta build. It is not the greatest build a ranger can achieve, but it is one I thoroughly enjoy, and I hope you do too. The main focus of this particular build will be to deal as much poison condition as possible. Now, again, poison is not the greatest condition damage you can inflict on somebody, but to keep up with the bee theme, I figured it probably would be best to stick to it. Now, to show you how this build works, I am going to go into the build itself, and I am going to show you that you start with Wilderness Survival, Beast Mastery, as well as SoulBeast. For Wilderness Survival, we will be taking the less muddy terrain. Basically what this is that when you use your healing skill, you create a mud area of effect around you that inflicts cripple, slow, and immobilization to your enemies that happen to be caught in the area. We will be taking Ambidextry, gain condition damage, which is what this build focuses on. Gain additional condition damage while wielding a torch, dagger, or mace, and we will be using double daggers for this build. Torch and dagger skills recharge faster. We will also be using Poison Master. Upon using a beast ability, your pet's next attack will inflict poison. Your poison damage is increased. Now again, as I said, this is a poison damage build, so we are going to want this. Now for the Beast Mastery, we will be taking Resounding Timber. At least I think it's pronounced timber. I do apologize if it's not. Command applies additional boons around you. Now we will be having a couple of conditions, a couple of commands for our skills, so we will be wanting that extra swiftness and regeneration. We will be taking Natural Healing. Your pet recovers health each interval. Now, when you're combined with Beast Mode, I believe that this also affects you as well. I'm not 100% certain, but just to be on the safe side, that is what we are taking. Now for this one, we are taking Beastly Warden. Beast abilities taunt your foes. Now, we can also take the Lesser Quickening Cipher to give us extra quickness and super speed. But I think the taunt ability for using a beast skill actually feels better with this. But feel free to change it as you see fit. Now as for the SoulBeast, we will be taking Live Fast. Using the beast ability grants you offensive boons such as Fury and Quickness. We will be wanting that Fury to be able to compensate for the lack of physical damage we will be doing. We will also be taking Predator's Cunning. When you apply poison to a foe, steal some health from them. We're using this as a bit of a survival ability to increase our health pool should we ever be in the need of some health. And we will be taking Leader of the Pack. Stance skills gain increased duration on you and grant their effects to nearby allies for a reduced duration. Now, since we will be using a stance rather often, we will be wanting this to increase the duration of the poison that the stance gives us. Now, as for the equipment, what we will be taking is for the general armor, we will be going Trailblazer with Superior Rune of the Trapper, mainly to increase our toughness, vitality, condition damage, and expertise. For the weapons, the primary weapons we will be taking is double daggers, both of which are Trailblazer, and one will have the superior sigil of venom to increase our poison duration, and the other will have our superior sigil of malice to increase our condition durations. Now, we won't be dealing just poison, we will be dealing other conditions as well, but poison will be our primary focus. But this will help subjugate, or not subjugate, I do apologize. This will help supplement, that's the word I want to use, the other conditions that we will be applying. Now, for a ranged option, in case we need to stay out of harm's way, we will be taking a short bow, which again is Trailblazer skill stats, with superior sigil of force and malice. Now, as for the trinkets, we will be using a little bit of a mixture of Trailblazer as well as dire sets. Now, I have divided it into 3 Trailblazer abilities: back piece and the 2 rings for Trailblazer, and the 2 accessories with the amulet as the dire sets. Now, you can go one way or the other. You can go full dire or full Trailblazer depending on what you have available to you. I just find that for my personal experiences, a mixture of the 2 in this area help with the build, its survivability, as well as increasing the overall condition damage, because the dire set has actually more condition damage added to it versus the Trailblazer. But the Trailblazer gives us expertise, so. As for the relic, we will be using Relic of the Blight Bringer. Gain stacks of Greer's Virul. I'm not sure how to pronounce that word, so I'm just going to skip it. When you inflict poison on a foe, after reaching a maximum number of stacks, the next time you inflict poison also inflicts additional conditions on nearby enemies. Basically, we're using this because of the poison factor, as well as being able to deal additional condition damage to those around us. Sort of a soft AoE effect. Now for the skills, we will be taking We Heal as 1. Heal yourself and your pet. You each gain copies of their boons. Now, this is a command that we will be using, which is basically, where is it? This one. Which will be triggering our Resounding Timber to gain us additional regen and swiftness. We will be taking Vulture Stance because this will give us more poison stacks whenever we deal regular combat damage. We will also be taking Viper's Nest, again, for the poison effect. We will also be taking Signal of Renewal, for the passive effect to keep gaining health. This is also another survival ability. Now, as for the Elite, the Elite one is actually one that you can swap out if you choose. I'm currently using Strength of the Pack, basically to gain swiftness, fury, and stability. But because I'm playing a human, I could also switch it over to Reaper of Grenth to have even more poison. But that's because the Reaper of Grenth is a human racial skill. But if you don't prefer the Strength of the Pact, you could also use Entangle to deal bleeding and immobilization. Or you can also go with One Wolf Pack. It's actually very flexible, so feel free to choose whichever one you choose. Whichever one you'd like. Personally, I prefer Strength of the Pact. Now, I am going to just come down here to show you how this build works. Now, this build does not exactly have a set rotation, but one thing you are going to want to do is that when you get into a fight, you want to try to use Viper's Nest and Vulture Stance as soon as possible to inflict that poison as much as possible as you can. Now, while we're melded with our bee, we will have access to 3 skills here, such as Bramble. Charge to your enemy and knock him down. The reason why we're using this is mostly because of the Defiance Rake, which is 300, which is a nice little buff. We will also be using Stinging Sorrow to unleash additional poison onto our enemies, as well as the Primal Cry, which also causes the taunt, more poison, and bleeding effects. Now, if you've been noticing, whenever I've been using my stance, I've been increasing the amount of poison inflicted on enemies just by using just standard attacks. Of course, again, like I said, there's no set rotation, so I've been pretty much face rolling, I believe that's the correct term, on the attack commands. Now, let's go after this guy and give you a little bit more. Now, again, like I said, this is not the best build that there is available out there. This is one that I just find fun. And I hope you do as well. So feel free to use this build as you'd like. If you can think of any changes you would make, please feel free to comment down below on what you would make. And feel free to share this with anybody else who would be interested. So I hope you enjoy. And until the next time, guys, I will see you in the next video. So happy gaming!